Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to today's iOB business webinar. Massively exciting one for you on the cards today. Whilst we're just waiting for everybody to get with us today, everybody to join us, I'm just going to run you through a little bit about what today's presentation is going to entail. And if you're new joining us here today, always a pleasure seeing new faces. So thank you for taking the time to come and join us today. And for those of you that are joining us once again, real pleasure to see you as always. Thank you so much again for taking the time to be with us today. So today's presentation, if this is your first iOB business webinar, what we like to do is I do a little introduction like this. You'll see me on camera, and then we will dive onto a presentation. We're going to last that for about 15 minutes or so, and then we dive onto a little Q&A over there at the end of the presentation, okay? So if you do have any questions for me throughout the webinar, which we often do get a good amount of questions, so if you do have any, don't hesitate to pop them into the Q&A box, and I will get to them at the end throughout the Q&A session, okay? So that little box can be found at the bottom of your screen. It should have a Q&A in it. It's usually in gray, and you should see that fairly easily, okay? So just whilst I'm waiting for everyone to join us today, I'm going to pull up today's presentation. So as I said, if this is your first time joining us, you will stop seeing me shortly and you will be able to see the presentation. So you should have that on your screen just now. And just before we begin today's presentation, I just want to make sure that everybody can see me okay, everybody can hear me okay. So if you would be so kind as to just drop a little note in the comments box and just let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know that you can see the presentation screen okay. And then we will get going with today's presentation. Okay, so I've switched myself off now. You shouldn't be able to see me anymore, but you should be able to see the screen that we have up in front. Okay, so like I said, massively exciting topic we're talking about today, the most in-demand digital services of 2021. Now, as a prospective or current digital agency owner, this information is huge, okay, because 2021 is turning out to be a crazy and incredible year. It's something that none of us have ever seen before, carrying on from 2020. The world is evolving all of the time, but the one world that continues to evolve time and time and time again is the digital world. There's new things up and coming all the time. So here at iOB Business, we keep you updated all of the time with everything that's going on in the digital world, every development that you could take advantage of. Okay, so this is what we're going to share with you today, the most in-demand digital services of 2021 and how you can cash in. Okay, so some really interesting insights we're going to talk about today. All right, so your presenter today is myself. My name is Benjamin Porter Smith, and I specialize in working with small businesses and helping them achieve stability and growth. This is my passion. This is my love, and I get to do this every single day. So it's a real privilege to be here with you today, presenting this webinar and the discussion points that we're going to run through today. Okay, so we're going to do this a little bit differently. If you joined us before on the iOB business webinars, we're running over something new today. Essentially, the layout we're going to talk through is, because we're talking about the most in-demand digital services of 2021, we're going to categorize this by type of business. Okay, so we have startups, which are brand new on the scene. Okay, brand new startup businesses. We also have micro businesses. Okay, now if you haven't heard this term before, micro businesses are essentially established businesses but have a very, very small turnover, and they are in fact separate to small businesses. Okay, they're a separate thing altogether. And then finally, we're going to talk about SMEs. Now, if you're not familiar with the term SME, this stands for small to medium enterprise. Okay, now these are usually established businesses with a good affordability, which means that they have a bit of room to play with in their budget and things that they can invest in. Okay, so as we're talking through the most in-demand digital services in 2021, I'm going to share with you in particular the things that are being bought the most by certain types of businesses right now, and equally as importantly, why. Because as a prospective digital agency owner or a current digital agency owner, you need to not only know what it is that businesses are buying right now, but you also need to know why they are buying them, so that you have this to play to your advantage when it comes to a sale point for yourself. Okay, so beginning with startup businesses today, we're talking about social media management and scheduling. Okay, now, of course, this is one of the biggest things that's utilized by startup businesses to bring themselves into the online space. The reason behind this is because not only is it cost effective, it is an incredible and continually evolving way of getting new followers, new customers, new interactions. Okay, so this is incredibly important for brand awareness. As a startup business, the first thing you need to do is make people know that you are there. Okay, so with this theory in mind, social media is such a huge way of getting themselves there. Okay, so when we're talking about this inclusion, we're talking about social media management. Now, the management side of things includes stuff like posting content on the business's behalf. It means interacting and commenting with their posts, their customers, their clients, their followers, making sure that everybody's having a good time. Okay, when it comes to scheduling, This is something that you can use software to do for you automatically. Okay, it's something that manages your time completely hands off after the initial setup. Very, very easy to do, and a very, very effective tool to utilize. Okay, because the second thing that's most important for startups is time. Okay, they need as much time as they can get. So the what is social media management and scheduling. The why is because brand awareness is massively important and they need all the time they can get. Okay, so social media is free to use and is very, very effective if done correctly. Now, this can include business pages and groups. So you'll see many people on various social media profiles like Instagram or LinkedIn, they use their own personal profile, but they also promote their brand through this avenue, okay, which is one way of doing it, which is fantastic. You've also got the use, particularly on Facebook, of using business pages, which are really specific to their customers or the client's brand, and it allows them to build a following around their brand, not just themselves. And Facebook groups are almost like a community and an area in which everybody can feel included and everybody can discuss the brand, the products, the services. They can talk about how brilliant it is. Okay, so they can really feel this community vibe where they can all get together, they can enjoy it, they can interact with each other, and they can also talk about and share the brand. Okay, so that's hugely important. So to run you over, this is essentially what we're talking about. Startup businesses, we've got low budgets, we've got a high necessity for brand awareness. We've got things that need to be done, and this is how we're going to get them done for startup businesses. Okay, so next we're talking about content creation and blog copywriting. Okay, now, but most startup businesses will not have necessarily all of the skill sets that they need to become in any form successful. Okay, now success is defined differently by every individual, but for a more broad term, I suppose, if we're looking at it this way, let's have a look at content creation and blog copywriting, two key components of getting yourself an online presence and making sure that you are seen, not only seen, but seen well. Okay, so the reason that this is so often utilized by startup businesses is because they have either not got the time or they don't have the skill set to do things like create content and copyright. Okay, now copyright is a fairly unique, fairly talented skill. Now, some people study it, some people are naturally born writers. It's completely dependent on the type of person and who it is, but it is absolutely a skill that can be learned. But these startup businesses, often they don't have the time to learn this skill, so they will outsource these types of things. Okay, a startup business needs to become recognized, it needs to be known, and they need to do it fast. So they're looking at every possible way in which they can do this. Okay, so reputation management. What does a business have without its reputation? Okay, now I'll answer that for you. Very, very little. Okay, reputation is so important, especially in the startup world. Okay, now almost every business you look at will have some form of review. Could be a restaurant, could be a bar, pub, bricks and mortar store, flower shop, shoe sale company, e-commerce store. All of them follow the same basic principle of adhering to a fantastic reputation. The way they do this is by using reviews and testimonials and case studies, etc. Okay, now something like reputation management can catch and handle the bad reviews, giving the company or the business a chance to actually mitigate and just absolutely sort out the situation before it escalates to anything further and before it damages their brand. Okay, which is so important. With something like reputation management, we're ensuring that the reputation of the startup business is looked after. Okay, now businesses want this and businesses need this because reputation is everything when you're starting out as a small business. Okay, so finally, website creation and hosting completed with initial capital and low ongoing fees. Okay, now the point I'd like to highlight for you here is initial capital and low ongoing fees. All right, so with most startups, and one of the key differences between a startup and a micro business is that a startup will often still have a capital injection of some kind. Now, often when people are looking to start up a new business, they will carry usually some form of cash reserve, otherwise recognized as a capital investment, capital injection, whatever you like to call it. They're bringing a lump sum of money into the business so they can get things done and get themselves off the ground. Okay, so with this theory in mind, more often than not, they will use their initial startup capital to invest in something like creating a website. Okay, so say this is £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, whatever their budget is, they will be happy to use that because, again, having an online presence is absolutely crucial for startup businesses right now. Okay, so with low ongoing fees, this is a crucial element because the cash flow is not going to be massive in a startup business. Okay, so that's very, very important to recognize. Now, moving on to micro businesses. As we discussed earlier in the presentation, micro businesses are different to startup businesses and small businesses. Okay, now micro business is something that's been established and is around, but often hasn't grown yet. They may want to grow, they may have ambition to go this way, but right now they're usually running pretty small turnover. They don't have huge budgets to do anything. That's why it's important that we cater for this kind of audience as well. We understand what they want, what they need, okay? So online bookings, one of the biggest things for online businesses, of course, is online bookings. Now, micro businesses, because of the size they are, they prefer to do a lot of the things that they need to do online, okay? So doing things in person, such as bricks and mortar stores, isn't always cost effective. They carry large overheads. So you'll find that a lot of micro businesses exist online. Why? Because the overheads are lower, okay? So when we're looking at an online business, we need to provide things online for them, okay? So online bookings, when it comes to this type of thing, is very, very effective for them, because utilizing online bookings can get them appointments, can get them meetings, it can get them talking to their clients, okay? So again, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, it's not only important that you as a prospective or current digital agency owner know what clients need, you also need to know why they need it, okay? So online bookings are massively important because we need to keep them talking to their customers and clients, okay? Now, whenever a business uses a booking platform or a booking software, it shows exclusivity. It shows that our time isn't just open and anybody can come in at any point in time and call us or text us or whatever. It shows that we're busy people, we're to be respected, our time is to be respected, and the online booking system does just that for us, okay? Now, of course, reputation management, you're gonna see this as a theory throughout this presentation, because reputation management is everything. Like we discussed in startup businesses, when it comes to the reputation of a business, even more so with a business like a micro business, because they're on a fine line where if they begin to lose sales, this could become very, very dangerous for the health of their business. Now, micro business is not doing loads and loads of turnover. It's not doing loads and loads of profit. They make the money that they make, and maybe they're comfortable here, maybe they're happy here. Everybody has a different way of running their life, okay? And if they enjoy having a micro business, by all means, good for them. But a reputation management system is so important because their business operates on a fine line between doing well and doing not so well. So reputation and adhering to that high reputation is massively important for them. They need their customers and they need their sales, okay? So the next thing to talk about is low-level PPC. If you haven't heard of PPC before, PPC stands for pay per click, okay? Pay per click. Now, essentially what this means, it's a form of paid advertising, okay? And it's a form of paid advertising where if you're displaying an advert on Google, for example, and someone clicks on that advert, then you will pay for that click when the click happens, okay? So it's a very popular form of paid advertising because it really means that you only pay when you actually get engagement on your advert, all right? So the reason that a small business may be interested in this is for the same reasons they might be interested in growth consultancy, okay? Now, this micro business being where it is may not necessarily want to stay a micro business, okay? So they'll usually be a bit more familiar, having been in the game for a little bit longer than startup businesses. They'll usually be a little bit more familiar with how PPC works, how paid advertising works. They'll be a little bit more open to doing that kind of thing with you, okay? Now, a startup business might think, oh, okay, well, we've used our initial injection to get ourselves online, but we don't necessarily have a big monthly budget yet, and neither do micro businesses, which is why it's important to keep it at a low level arena, okay? So taking low-level PPC into growth consultancy. Now, the reason I say rare or one-off here, we do this very, very deliberately because often with the ongoing monthly costs can seem a little bit intimidating sometimes for micro businesses because their cash flow isn't massive to begin with, okay? So with this being the case, it's important to note that growth consultancy could be something that they're interested in, but maybe not something that they want to do right now, or maybe they just want to do it like one session, but they would benefit from it on an ongoing basis, of course, which we'll discuss in the next slide. But for now, let's just keep this in mind. Okay, so the secondary point that I'd like to share with you on this is that as a digital agency owner, as a prospective digital agency owner, wherever you're at in your business journey right now, you will have massive skill sets when it comes to business growth without even realizing it. Okay, so we all in some capacity of personal or business experience will have experienced growth of some kind. Okay, so say you're a paid advertising expert. You grow businesses for a living. You use paid advertising to do this, okay? So when we reference growth consultancy, you can show businesses how to grow in the way that you know how. So bear in mind that consultancy is a very viable avenue for a digital agency owner, and it's often looked to as a bonus income or an additional sideline income from your core offerings, okay? So consultancy is something that can be very, very popular when it comes to running a digital agency, all right? And finally, on our slide here for micro businesses, we're looking at social media management and scheduling again, okay? Now, why? Because time is of the essence. With these micro businesses, they need as much time as they can get to sell their core offering, their services, their products, whatever it is that they do. They need as much time as they can get to handle that side of their business to make sure that they are staying afloat, that they're doing well. Now, the trouble comes in if they're spending too much time doing things like posting on social media, scheduling the social media posts, etc., etc., etc. If you can do that for them, there's a piece of software that can do that for them, they get all that time back, and it allows them to go out and do what they do best, okay? So, final slide that we have on the cards today, small to medium enterprises, okay? So, what we're looking at here, CRM software management, okay? Now, one of the biggest things that is utilized in a very, very strong backbone for small to medium enterprises is their CRM system, okay? Now, CRMs do a whole array of things, but most importantly, what they do is they act as a marketing and structural operational backbone for a business. They store contact records. They allow marketing campaigns to be conducted. They allow email campaigns to be conducted. They are very, very heavily utilized by small to medium enterprises. So with that in mind, what we're looking at here is the management of their CRM software, okay? Now, as you can imagine, with a platform and a system this big, it needs a lot of looking after, okay? So something that is very, very popular for CRMs is the management that comes within, okay? Businesses that utilize these CRMs need them managed. So often this is a fairly niche skill set. It's one that you can learn. It's one that can be learned with us right here at iOB Business. And it's something that is massively valuable to small to medium enterprises these days, okay? To make sure they're getting the most out of it, because often with a CRM system, it can be complex in a sense that it is massively beneficial, but sometimes people are missing things or they're not sure how to make maximum benefit of the system that they're using, okay? So high level PPC, as compared to in the previous slide where we're looking at micro businesses, they need something like low level PPC, is because higher budgets on a regular basis means more room for testing, okay? So with this theory in mind, they can spend a lot more on paid advertising, which means that we have more time to test and find the perfect formula, okay? So with every paid advertising campaign, it's generally good practice that we run it for about 3 months before we have a real idea of how successful that campaign is going to be. So with a high level PPC budget, with an SME that's producing enough money so that we can get that going on a regular basis, you can utilize these high budgets, you can have a bit more room to play with it and really work out what the optimal method is. And it's this theory with paid advertising, it literally follows the principle of money makes money, okay? So SEO services, okay? Now SEO services, something often utilized by small businesses because they need to improve their online presence, okay? When we're looking at something like SEO, if you're not familiar with it, again, SEO stands for search engine optimization, okay? So with this theory, SEO is not always the cheapest thing to do, which is fantastic for you as a digital agency, but it is also a very, very particular and very niche skill set in certain elements. You can also have a broader skill set of it. But something about SEO that should be known, and that I'm going to tell you right now, is that discovering skills in SEO is something that must be practiced and you must be confident in your ability. Okay, so always make sure that you're educating yourself on doing something like this. But with SEO, it's often a very skilled element that SMEs will bring in because they see their website, they see how many people are visiting their website, and they think, we want to improve this, and we're already running paid advertising, so how can we look at other ways of bringing attention and traffic towards our website, okay? And often that falls into the SEO category. Search engine optimization is in itself an organic or free method of marketing, but often it will cost money to bring in an expert to work on this for you, okay? So with SMEs, we're looking also at restaurants, okay? Strong cafes, strong bars, pubs, people that have been around, okay? Now, a food ordering system is beneficial for an SME or a small to medium enterprise because they can utilize these systems to improve a pre-existing business, okay? Now, what we're looking at here is a system that will take care of them, a system that will build a customer base for them, a system that will save them money from using the bigger, more, the bigger, more commonly used brands like someone like Just Eat. Now, the reason an SME would be interested in this is because what they love to do is they love to save money, they love to cut costs, and they love to lean themselves out as a business, okay? So a food ordering system, in particular, the one that is offered with iOB Business, does all of these things, okay? So with this in mind, you can go to an SME, you can go to an established restaurant chain, and you can speak to them about using this kind of thing, okay, they will be open to listening to it because they have experience. Now, this is the crucial part of where they are and who they are as a business, is that they are open to development. They're open to saving money. They're open to reviewing other angles that potentially a startup business may or may not be interested in just at the moment, because they need to find their feet. But with someone who's already found their feet, they understand a good thing when it comes their way, okay? So reputation management. Now, as I did say throughout the presentation, you're going to see a theme of this, okay? Reputation management is just as important for an SME as it is for a micro business, as it is for a startup business, okay? It's equally as important that they protect their reputation. Now, bigger businesses, of course, carry a larger reputation because they're more well-known. It's just how it exists. A startup is brand new into the game. They're trying to get themselves familiarized. A micro business is already in the game, but they're pretty small. So not a lot of people know about them more often than not. But an SME is an up and comer. An SME is on their way to becoming large, okay? And people know about them. So reputation management is massively important as they continue to scale and grow their business. And just to finish up on today's presentation on this little topic here, we're looking at regular consultancy, okay? Now, something that the owner of an SME will always recognize, and those who are fairly high up within an SME organization, they will know the benefits of regular consultancy. So please do remember my earlier comment when I was talking about your skill set as a digital agency owner or prospective digital agency owner. Consultation is something that can be brought into your business very, very easily and very, very effectively. It can boost your income. It can boost your sidelines. It can do everything you need it to do, because it's a very, very good way to bring extra money into the business in exchange for your skill set and your expertise. Now, SMEs recognize the value of consultancy and very, very often hire consultants to help them with things that they don't know how to do themselves, or that they could do with an extra opinion on. Okay, so there's many, many avenues in which you could open up a conversation for consultancy, and it's very, very important that you bear this in mind. Okay, now that is the presentation. We're wrapping up on that today. So something for you, as always, we want to give a big thanks for joining us in today's presentation. Everything that I've spoken about with you, I want you to discover this opportunity for yourself. We here at iOB Business see massive value in having conversations with people, okay? We want you to discover these opportunities for yourself. Book yourself a complimentary call to find out about our all-in-one solution, okay? So you remember me talking in today's presentation, talking about reputation management, how vital it is. We're talking about food ordering systems, people that recognize a good thing when it comes their way, social media management, scheduling. Learn more about all of this. Now, because your time is so valuable, I can't share everything I would love to share with you in this webinar, okay? Which is why I would strongly encourage that you get yourself a one-on-one call. You book that with us at iob-business.com/talk to us. Now, whilst I jump onto today's little Q&A session, I'm going to leave this link up on the screen here for you so that you can have a look at it. You can book a call with us. You can talk about all the things that we discussed in today's webinar. Okay, so this is for you. This is here for you to take complete advantage of. Okay, so I'm just going to go and grab the Q&A just now. If you bear with me 2 seconds, please, I'm going to cover today's questions. Okay, so what we have today, we have got question number 1. When I'm speaking to a business, how will I know their size? Okay, cool. So this is a fantastic question. There's lots of ways to discover the size of a business or how big a business is. And of course, the first and most obvious one is offering a free strategy session to a business that you're talking to. Okay, so if you're talking to that business already, encourage an open conversation where you can discuss back and forth elements of their business, elements of their customers, their service prices, their product levels, all the different things that they do will give you a good idea. Okay, so sometimes they might actually share their turnover or their kind of profit levels with you, but more often than not, it will be on, okay, well, we have this many clients, we have this many reviews online, we've been around for this amount of time. You yourself can get a good gauge of who they are and how big they are as a business. It's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking. And the other question I have today is, how should I price my consultancy? Okay, so I did talk a lot about consultancy in that presentation, and that's a fantastic question. So when it comes to consultancy, it's something that you need to calculate, okay? So you need to calculate your rate. Now, the best way to do this as a consultant or in consultancy in any level or area is to work this by the hour. It's just easiest. So you can offer 1 hour consultation sessions, half an hour consultation sessions. But if you have the maths put together for an hour, so say you're £50 an hour, and this is your maths, well, then you would charge 25 for a half hour session, £50 for a full hour session, etc. Now, the way that you come up with this number is a multitude of different ways, but in order to kind of share this with you effectively, really you need to do it in line with your experience, your skill set, and the necessities of your business. So you would need to calculate, okay, well, how much do I need to charge for this consultation to be worth my time financially? If you can earn more money doing something else, then it would have to be worth you taking time out of that thing to go and do the consultancy. You'd also have to base it on how skilled you were, how qualified you were, and where your experience lays and how much you can help them. Okay, this is very, very important to bear this in mind when you're talking about something like consultancy. So I believe that those are my questions for today. As always, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you about this. Once again, if you do want to book a one-on-one with us, you've got the link to do that here, iob-business.com/talk to us. Okay, so as always, I will sign off there. It's been a pleasure, and I very much look forward to seeing you again in future IOB business webinars. Bye for now.